Flooding we haven't seen in 100 years continues to plague East Tennessee. 4 to 6 inches of rain have already fallen today and more is coming. And while rain may be slowing in some areas, problems are only growing. In fact, Knox County Sheriff says as darkness falls, conditions could turn deadly. Nightfall means drivers lose the ability to avoid floodwater.
You just tell them, do you want to die? Because if you're going to drive through it, there's a potential for you doing that, and we don't want to see that happen. If that sounds harsh, then so be it, but we've got to get your attention.
Knox County just launched its Air Watch. We heard it flying over the station just a moment ago. A helicopter carrying the sheriff and the mayor are now flying over the area over Knox County, assessing damage and looking for hazardous situations. This will really help them focus their efforts as we move into the night. Crews have already performed at least 40 rescues in Knox County with plenty of close calls. This one is one of the latest. An elderly woman got trapped in her flooded basement. Rural Metro Fire and the Knox County Rescue Squad used a wheel stretcher to get her to a higher level of her home. And in Loudoun County, a swiftwater rescue team sends divers in to save a man and 2 dogs. Amanda Ferguson takes us to the scene.
Many people across East Tennessee woke up to rain and floods, but Forrest Anderson woke up to this and needed help to get out.
You just panic and just take it easy. It'll be all right.
Not knowing Mother Nature could be so fierce.
I didn't think it was going to get like this, but I waited too long, and the current was so swift I didn't dare cross it.
Anderson needed to call 911 to get him and his 2 dogs out of his home. About 15 Loudoun County responders came to help.
It's what we do. It's what we train for. It's what we live for. It's what we work for. We practice for this kind of thing. Our swiftwater rescue team practices extensively for this type of thing. 3 rescue swimmers jumped in the water, including Marine Rescue Chief Chad Walters.
We've got about 3 feet of moving water. It's where Town Creek has actually risen out of its banks. Pretty swift. We were kind of maximizing the limits of what we could do to get across there.
Walters says he normally dives to save people, but crews got Anderson and his 2 dogs across safely, walking through the current.
I can't say enough for them. They really risk their lives to get me out of there and my dogs.
In Loudoun County, Amanda Ferguson, WVLT News.
Another rescue unfolds near UT's campus as a driver decides to drive into a dangerous situation. Mary Ashton Gupton shows us how it ends.
I'm out here on Concord Street in Knoxville, where just hours ago, around 2 o'clock this afternoon, a swift water team with the Knoxville Fire Department had to rescue several victims out of a minivan that got caught in these floodwaters. You can see right here behind me is the minivan still trapped, the water completely up over the hood now. We've been out here for a few minutes and the water continues to rise. A minute ago, you could actually see the headlights on the car. Within, I'm talking 5 to 10 minutes. Headlights are completely gone and it is just continuing to rise. Also, where the road crews have already blocked off the road, they continue to move the cones a little bit further back. If we move our camera right over here, you can actually see what is a yield to pedestrian state law line. Usually you would expect for that to be up to about your waist high, and you can only see the top maybe foot of the sign left. If you're familiar with Tyson Park, there's also the Running Man statues right at the entrance. You look over there, it is all the way up to the Stickman Running Man statues waist area as well. If we're going to move our camera just a little bit further over here to the right, there's also a piece of tracked equipment that is completely underwater. Thousands of dollars of damage here, and this is not the only place in Knoxville that are seeing these issues. So whenever we're looking at this water like this, it's important to remember, since this is not the only place in Knoxville like this, if you see any water like this, you do not want to be like the family that was having to be rescued by the swiftwater team. You want to turn around, you want to get away from it, because this water, it does not take very much to lift your car off the ground or to completely submerge it and turn your vehicle off, which is likely what happened to this minivan. So if you see the water, go with the old saying, turn around, don't drown, don't get stuck like these people unfortunately did. For now, reporting on Concord Street in Knoxville, Mary Ashton Gupton, WVLT News.
All right, Mary Ashton, thanks. This is a scene of yet another rescue. Beaver Creek Road in Powell this afternoon. You can see a hefty rescue presence after a woman tried to drive through high water there. She was eventually pulled to safety. You know, no matter how many times authorities tell us not to drive through high water, it still happens. This is yet another example. Right along Tenwood Drive near Middlebrook Pike, you can see, yes, that is an abandoned car in the high water, right in front of what appears to be a flooded yard. This Jeep comes from behind and drives around. These are really the situations that don't always end well. You never know if the road is washed out, if maybe a sinkhole is formed underneath. You don't know what's below. It's never a good idea to drive through. Here's video just into the WVLT newsroom of the Apple Barn property in Pigeon Forge. That nearby creek has overrun its banks, flooding parts of the parking lot there. The high water is nearing at least one building there on the property. And a tough situation for pets and livestock. This cow is trapped by rising floodwater in Jefferson County. You can see him pacing back and forth, desperate to find higher ground. Our Ann Brock shot this footage. She says the farm's owner is working to round up all of its animals. And we do kind of have a side note for you here. The Knox County Zoo says all of its animals are safe and indoors. Ponding and power outages there closed the zoo around 1 o'clock. You know, this is really, really sad to see. These are the images, I think, that kind of make us stop for a second. Unfortunately, it is not the only case of a pet left chained and stranded. Knoxville police say animal control helped save this dog along with a handful of other pets today. If you see an animal that looks like it may be in need, you can call 865-215-2243.
Well, according to meteorologist Jeremy Buckles of the National Weather Service in Morristown, this in fact was a 100-year flood. 5 inches downtown, 4.5 inches in Knoxville. All the areas in red represent about 4 to 6 inches of rain. Now that's what's fallen. Where are we going? We've got a new warning coming out at the top of the hour. 7 o'clock tonight, high winds gusting to 60 miles per hour. Even the valley could get 30 to 40 mile an hour gusts, which could take out your power. You might wake up tomorrow morning without power. How will you prepare? Make sure you have the WVLT weather app. The rain has ended in many spots, but it will come back. In fact, there's some concern with tornado watches in Middle Tennessee. We do not expect it to be that dramatic here, but we will get some thunderstorms coming in from the west. And the amount of rain that we get between now and sunrise tomorrow is another ½ inch to an inch or more. When I come back, we'll talk more about that impact in just a moment. Amanda?
All right, David, thanks. And we do have team coverage of tonight's disastrous flooding. Sarah Wilder is live in North Knoxville, where homes are now flooding. Sarah.
Hey Amanda, like you said, I'm here in North Knoxville. We're on the intersection of Orlando and Tacoma, and that's Walker right back there, just for reference. But the scene's kind of changed since we've been out here. It stopped raining now, but actually that goalpost, that basketball goalpost, was completely underwater. We didn't even know what it was when we got out here. So the water is starting to go down out here, but we were going into houses, some of the people that live around this area, to see some of the damage that they're seeing. And actually in one of the homes, a renter was showing us her basement completely flooded. Water was at the top of some of her dryer unit, so that just shows how high the water was rising. She was going downstairs to get pictures out, clothes, shoes, you name it. So it just kind of shows what kind of damage that some of this water can have, some of this flood water, some of this rainwater, but also it can have a big impact, like we've been talking about today, on the roads. So KPD tweeted out just a little while ago that there was a road closure at Colonial Circle, that's in Fountain City, and so there were some signs at the beginning and kind of the exit of that road, so we didn't go around it. But like we've said, if there are signs posted, caution tape around, it's obviously there for a reason, and that's law enforcement just trying their best to keep you safe, and know that all of this rainwater, all this flood water is having an impact on these roads. And again, with the standing water too, and maybe the rushing water, it's hard to see exactly how deep it is or what's even underneath it. So now KCSO, Knox County Sheriff's Office, is saying that their new fear is for the overnight part. When it gets dark, like we've said today, you can't see how deep that water is. So like we've also said, just turn around, don't drown. That's your safest bet. That they just really want want to keep everybody as safe as possible, especially with all the rescues that have been taking place throughout the area today. But for now, reporting live in North Knoxville, Sarah Wilder, WVLT News. Amanda?
Yeah, definitely difficult once that water comes into your home. You have a whole new host of problems as a homeowner that you have to deal with. Sarah Wilder reporting for us tonight. Sarah, thank you. Well, this is an alarming sight. Our WVLT News drone captured this view of Powell High School this afternoon. Photojournalist Chris Covert, who mans the WVLT News drone, flew this afternoon to get this shot for us. You can see it's largely underwater, especially the baseball field there. Our sports team telling us they always seem to battle flooding with that baseball diamond. So something we'll continue to watch there as well. We also had drivers in that area still passing some of those roads that appeared dangerous. All right, let's head to Tyson Park now. We do know that there have been some issues in that area. We've had a rescue there, lots of flooding. This is near UT's campus. Amanda Ferguson joining us live now with a closer look at some of the big issues affecting that area.
Yeah, hey Amanda, I'm just outside of Tyson Park here in Knoxville, and as you can see behind me, this is completely flooded over here. There's a car way back there that is underwater. You can see most of it underwater. And then there's also a tractor trailer underwater. This is just not a safe area to drive near, and there's signs out here that say don't enter. So really try to listen to those signs. And this scene right here is kind of the scene in and around East Tennessee today. I was in Loudoun County, and where I saw cars submerged at a repair auto shop, and those cars were completely bobbling underwater. So that's pretty much the scene in a lot of areas. And if it's not like that, it's like this kind of flood. And I was also in Loudoun County where the rescue squad was rescuing a man and his 2 dogs, and that water was rushing, that creek was rushing through more than anybody expected in years. And even if it's not rushing like that, and this is more calm, it's still just as dangerous to drive through. If you don't know what's under there, you don't want to drive through that, you don't know what could be under there, how deep that really is. So really try to not drive through those areas if you can. Amanda, back to you.
Amanda Ferguson reporting for us in Knoxville tonight. Amanda, thank you. In case you haven't heard, there was a massive rock slide last night along I-40 just before the Tennessee border with North Carolina. We are now learning that both directions are going to be closed into next week, just like they were a few years back. If this sounds reminiscent, yeah, it happened before. As you can see by this map, we're showing the detour to get to Asheville as everyone going up I-81 into the Tri-Cities and down to Asheville on I-26. It adds about 50 miles to the entire trip, and it's about an hour and a half extra of travel time. TDOT says the road will be completely closed for at least the next week. There will be lane restrictions as crews work to stabilize the hillside for another 2 months or so. A big part of this was the earth was still moving late into last night, which made it really tricky for crews to continue working in that area. At one point, rocks were falling near where they were working. And we want to take you to Powell. The ramp right past Emory to I-75 South is flooded. Our crews were there as TDOT showed up and shut down the ramp because of that high water. You can see cars doing what we tell them not to, driving through the water. Most cars weren't able to do what this Jeep was doing, and authorities say even if you've got a bigger truck, it's still not a good idea. We do have a full list of road closures, the major ones anyways, in the WVLT News app. All right, I want to bring in Corporal Matt Fagiana with the Loudoun County Sheriff's Office. You were part of the swiftwater rescue that Amanda Ferguson was talking about. We showed video right off the top of the show. A guy and 2 of his dogs had to be rescued from his home. We want to show some more of that video again and just kind of get into the specifics of this case and what kind of risk this puts you guys in as first responders.
Well, certainly we had a call come in of a gentleman that was trapped in his home. Felt it was unsafe to exit. We had deputies that initially responded. They also felt the same way, that it was too dangerous for them to do that. So we called in our swiftwater rescue team. Obviously they have the equipment and the training to do that type of rescue. After about 30 or 45 minutes on scene, they were able to successfully rescue that gentleman, bring him back to the drier side, if you will. And then we were also able to go a little bit further and rescue his 2 dogs.
And you could hear him get pretty emotional about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously for a lot of people, especially our aging population, our pets are our kids. So we were glad to be able to do that for him.
Okay. And when you get into water it looks like you could pass it, right? You eyeball it, you say, I could do that. But then you see these guys, and they've got a rope. That's what's keeping them upright.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily the depth of the water. Sometimes it's the force of the water, and there's a lot of force, intensity coming with that amount of water. So it's while it may look safe, like we always tell people, turn around, don't drown. Don't take the chance.
And this guy did the right thing. He said, you know what, I'm not going to try and go at it on my own. I'm going to call somebody who knows better and who's trained to deal with this.
Absolutely.
And for folks at home who may think, you know, I don't want to call anyone, I don't want to bother anybody with this, I'll just try to get out on my own. Your advice?
That's what we're here for, that's what we train for, and that's what we do this job for.
They didn't give you the fancy equipment to not use it, right?
That's exactly right.
All right, good work. Matt Fagiano with Loudoun County Sheriff's Office with us tonight. We're going to be back with more pictures and video from our flooded community. Plus, we're going to touch base with Chief Meteorologist David Aldrich for a look at what we can expect going into tonight and tomorrow. Stay with us. We're going to take you on a quick tour across some of the scenes in East Tennessee as flooding we haven't seen in probably 100 years hits the area. This is Kingston Pike. You can see that car in the foreground essentially submerged except for the very tippy top of the roof there in water. This is right by the gem store by JTV in Farragut. So Kingston Pike, Pellissippi Parkway, that whole area. This is one of the photos that I think we put on social media and people stopped in their tracks. They said, wow. This photo exemplifies the severity of the situation we're now up against. Let's take you to North Shore Drive near Lions Crossing at the Kensington subdivisions. You can see a lot of water on both sides of the roads, threatening to cross over in some parts. And East Emory Road at Jim Wolf Road in the Powell community, good grief, that is a lot of water in that area. And yes, unfortunately, that is a car in the flooded water. We have seen a lot of that today, despite authorities continuing to tell people not to drive through high water. Let's go over to Emory Road at Sharp Road in Powell. Way off in the distance, there is yet another car there. And off to the right, you can see that white SUV stopped in front of the high water, potentially determining whether or not to drive through or turn around. Hopefully those folks turned around. We also have flooding along the Third Creek Greenway. This is a place that, you know, hey, it's a Saturday. This is a place a lot of people would go on a walk, on a run, take their dogs out, bicycle through. None of that happening today with this high water hitting that area, making it impassable. Then let's head over to South College, a swollen creek near Tyson Park there today. Scenes like this all over the community this afternoon. From that view, it's easy to see why earth slides continue. All this rain is responsible for yet another slide in Townsend. Kyle Granger, hopefully about to join us live here to take us on a quick tour of the situation in that area near Townsend.
And tonight we did manage to drive to that area. It's rather a small slide. We thought this was a little more impressive to show you, Amanda, what's behind me here. Check out the river as it flows down through the Townsend-Walland area. This is a very familiar spot to a lot of us. We drive this road and we're going from Maryville down to Townsend, and a lot of folks will stop here and take a picture, but today folks are stopping to take pictures of this incredible site here with all the water that's rushing down. This normally is a spill area. This is Perry's Mill. This is where the mill used to be, so you had the overspill to turn everything. Well, as you can see, it really is kind of a raging river here tonight just outside of Townsend. So that's the site. A lot of folks stopping to take their pictures, and we wanted to share that with you. Now, I did manage to start my day in Sevier County, and I was trying to get into work and ran into all kinds of areas that were flooded. So some areas with people trying to, get out of their homes even because the water was surrounding. They said it was waist deep when they were trying to get out of this particular area outside of Pigeon Forge. Multiple areas were seeing the flooding with the rivers, the creeks, and the streams all rising in that particular area, and some folks decided it was time to get out.
It's not in the house, but it's in the carport area, and it's third level of the steps, third level of the steps, waist deep.
And of course, back live in Blount County tonight, where we're looking at this massive amount of water that is coming down. It's just a sight that is incredible to see. Again, this is usually a nice, pretty spill area. Tonight, you can see you can't even tell where that spill typically is. Reporting in Blount County, Kyle Granger, WVLT News.
Now, crazy how it can be so peaceful at times, Kyle, and then at other times like this, shows you its sheer strength. Be safe out there tonight. Kyle Granger reporting for us. We want to share some video from Highway 321 Lamar Alexander Parkway near Townsend, where another landslide has happened. Hopefully, are we going to show that, guys? We're going to move on. Okay. Oh, we do have it. There we go. This is actually Brittany Tarwater shared this with us earlier today. This is a landslide in Townsend. You can see cars kind of slowing down, scoping out the situation and slowly driving around. Good move there. I think she got this from one of her friends, Kelly, who is in the area. We are still working to determine the status of that situation as crews assess the damage there. Well, the rain has stopped or slowed for most of us, but do not let your guard down. We could be entering the most dangerous phase of this life-threatening flooding. That's next. Stay with us.
And yes, our live pinpoint Doppler shows things have quieted down for now. We are still technically under a flood watch until 7 a.m. tomorrow. Stay with us. We've got more details on what you can expect after the break.
Well, David, we could be entering one of the most dangerous phases of really this life-threatening flooding. Nightfall could make it really tough for drivers to see problem areas that they should avoid.
This has just been a horrific day, no question about it, Amanda, and it will get worse, as you indicated, because we have to deal with the winds that come in, and that's going to put more stress on trees. If you're just joining us, we had 4 to 6 inches of rain across much of the area from Knoxville all across I-40 east and west. More storms, more rain on the way with wind that could topple some of those trees. And yes, we did get word officially it was called a 1 in 100 year flood, about a 1% chance you can get this kind of rain based on its principle over our one area, and we got it bad today. Our high wind warning starts at the top of the hour from 7 o'clock tonight to 7 a.m. Sunday for the Smokies. They will have gusts up to 60 miles per hour. We think we could have easily gusts 30 to 40 miles per hour through tonight and early on Sunday morning. Meanwhile, we have received a break. The rain has stopped across much of the valley. Still a couple of showers across Campbell and Scott County, or mainly through Fentress County, but that's all going to be filling in. In fact, there's a tornado watch in effect for Middle Tennessee. That gives you an idea of how violent, how windy it can be, and that wind will be ushering in here later tonight. The severe weather risk through 7 a.m. tomorrow puts areas on western Knox County under that marginal risk. There could be an isolated, like 1, maybe 2 severe storms, but even if they're not severe, they could be strong enough to topple some trees. Our temperature right now, 52 degrees. We've moved 3 degrees all day today. We had a high of 53. We may see temperatures rise, fall, and then rise and then fall again by morning. Our winds aren't that strong now. Northeast at 8 miles per hour. The sun's about going down now at 6:26. Meanwhile, as we've got a front that's coming through, we're going to expect about a ½ inch to an inch of rain as we head through tomorrow morning. Some may get locally higher amounts simply because of a thunderstorm, but you can see about an inch in Harriman, about a ½ inch in Knoxville. It's not an easy thing to have to mention, but that is a possibility that's going to add more stress to an already bad situation. 7:30 tonight, more showers spin in. We've got more showers and some thunderstorms in red at 11 o'clock tonight, but here, that's what we're looking at. 1:30 in the morning, that's the strong front associated with the cold front. That will push in, could weaken quite a bit by the time it gets to Anderson County, but it will drop more rain and kick up those winds. By the time you wake up at 5, 6, 7 o'clock, if that's as early you get up on a Sunday, yes, it will be all gone, but the after effects, the afterburn, so to speak, is going to continue. We have partly cloudy skies for a good part of Sunday with some gusty winds up to 30 to 40 miles per hour. But beautiful day on Monday, a couple of dry days. We'll keep that in place. That will help it will help a lot with the cleanup process. 51 degrees, our low temperature tonight, more flooding, more rain and storms. Your Sunday outlook, a high around 62 at 4 in the morning. That's the high. We drop down into the low 50s. We spend most of the day in the mid 50s. And here's your planning forecast. 31, much colder as we move into your Monday. Suddenly it turns green. Maybe that's because of the rain on Monday, but 59 on Tuesday. Sunglasses will be very helpful for the next couple of days. Stay with us. More on the flooding after the break.
Beep, 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 beep.
Living with AT&T has been an experience.
Let's see what's on TV.
Huh?
Can you show our streaming apps?
Sorry, my remote doesn't do voice commands.
I guess you could say I'm a little bit old school. Lamar, can you dim the lights?
Stop living with AT&T. It's time to switch to Xfinity. Sign up today or get started with this great offer. Click, call, or visit a store today.
It's the no commitment sale at Planet Fitness. For just 25 cents down, $10 a month with no commitment, you'll get tons of cardio and strength equipment, free fitness training, and a totally comfortable place to go at your happy pace. Get all this for just 25 cents down, $10 a month, no commitment. Now is the right time to join. Join in club or online at planetfitness.com. Planet Fitness, the judgment-free zone.
Join in club at participating Knoxville area locations or online at planetfitness.com.
Join Knoxville Habitat for Humanity at the 4th Annual Sporting Clay Tournament on Friday, March 8th. Visit the community page at WVLT.tv for more information.
A disappointing loss for Tennessee's men's basketball team. They lost in overtime at LSU today. It all came down to a last-second shot. Coming up on Monday, we're going to find out what the loss does to the Vols' ranking. That's next week. Now we want to let you know about the Red Cross. They've opened several shelters in the area. If you need a place to stay, Central Baptist of Fountain City and the Pigeon Forge Community Center both open, as well as a shelter in Sevier County. We've got details about that in the WVLT News and Weather apps. Let's share this picture sent to us by Rural Metro. I think this kind of sums up the day for us. We can't say it enough. Do not drive through high water, especially as it gets dark. The sheriff of Knox County says this is the time when these situations could potentially turn deadly. You say it a lot, turn around, don't drown.
Well, it's so important because some people realize the hard way, and we don't want people to have that mistake. You don't want to have to learn a mistake the hard way. Yeah. But keep in mind, showers and storms will increase tonight. The winds will pick up. That's the last thing we need. We'll be gusting up to 60 in the Smokies themselves.
All right, stay with us in the WVLT Weather app, Facebook, and the WVLT News app.